Let's go back to one of our leading stories now. 13 unions affiliated to Saftu say the Federation's president, Mak Shabalala, does not have the authority to suspend General Secretary Zwelinzima. The unions said this at a press conference earlier this morning. Mak Shabalala, Saftu president, joins us now for a response to some of the allegations that we have heard. Mr. Shabalala, thank you very much for joining us. I think let's start from the beginning, or go back rather to this decision that you had made and taken. What informed it and what processes were followed?
Well, thank you very much, and good afternoon to you and the viewers. and thanks for the opportunity to clarify what is already out there. I think as NOBs of the Federation, first would like to clarify and state that we believe in internal processes, but however now we are forced as the Federation to come out and clarify whatever that is already out there. Just to come to your question, the whole issue started on Monday the 14th when we as NOBs were in our meetings. As always, reports get presented there, and we deal with those reports. Then there was this financial report presented by the treasurer of the Federation, which the General Secretary correctly said that it's a report that raised eyebrows. Indeed, it did, because there were so many transactions in that report coming from the card of the Federation that he is in possession of. And NOB started questioning that, and later NOBs resolved that the best option is for the matter to be investigated. All of us agreed with Comrade Vavi in that meeting, and but NOB said, but you know, these things are serious, and we don't think that you can be in your office while these things are being investigated. I think that's where he differed with us, but I must say that he had all the opportunity, all the right to clarify the NOBs in that meeting about all the allegations that he is talking about out there in the public. He had that opportunity. But what is important now is that at least all the skeletons are beginning to come out of the closet, because we are told that the very same report we are talking about is out already through some social media. I'm not sure how true that is, but we are told it's out there. So it is for workers and the general public to look at it and make their own judgments.
Mr. Shabalala, the unions that, all 13 of them that gathered this morning to speak to the nation, accuse you of not consulting with them, hence asking in terms of understanding the processes in order to have brought this to the doorstep of Mr. Vavi.
Well, firstly, let's be clear. The national office bearers, in terms of the constitution of the Federation, they are a structure. They are considered to be a structure, just like the National Finance Committee and the NEC. So these structures from time to time will take decisions, and those decisions will then be shared with other structures. For example, the NOBs will go to FinCom and say, FinCom, can you verify this? Tell us what's your view. But the NOBs will share their decision with FinCom, right? Equally, FinCom will then engage and take a decision, and their decision will be shared with the NEC, and equally NOBs will share their decision with the NEC. So it's up to the NEC to decide whether they agree with the decision of the NOBs and FinCom, or they don't agree with the decisions of the two structures. So that's how the process is like in terms of constitutional structures. But it is important to also clarify the following: that look, when the NOB took a decision to write to Comrade Zweli and send him a letter of intention to suspend him. The NOBs were informed by the policies of the organization, because in terms of the very same constitution, the NOBs are the supervisors. They are the supervisors of the general secretary. So they account to the NOBs. So because the policies of the federation, they don't look at who you are, whether you are a general secretary or you are a staff at the reception. Those policies, they cut across. So he cannot then say that we do not have a right, or any other person or union for that matter, say NOBs don't have right to suspend, while the policies are so clear in terms of applying those policies. So we are clear.
Mr. Shabalala, if you would allow me, please, I do beg your pardon for the sake of time. The TAU General Secretary, yes, Vusi Nchangase, has called your conduct unlawful. Let's take a look, listen at what he has said.
We are opposed to corruption as a matter of principle, but we are also opposed to using that principle to advance factional agendas that are designed to collapse the unity of the workers in general, but that of Saftu in particular. As disciplined affiliates of Saftu, we shall decisively deal with unprecedented, unlawful and unconstitutional conduct of the Saftu president and his team in the normal Saftu National Executive Committee meeting scheduled for next week from 24 March 2022 in Beechwood in Boksburg.
Mr. Shabalala, are you advancing a factional agenda?
Well, it's interesting what is coming from the group of unions. Let me tell you that these are the unions who in 2017 in the Congress they adopted a principle. Saftu have 9 principles. One of those is to fight maladministration and corruption. So it's interesting that today, when issues that are involving money are raised, they are the first ones to defend. But we are not advancing any factional agenda. What we are advancing is what the General Secretary said on air and to everybody, that he does not dispute the fact that while he's flying on air, on a plane, the bodyguards, which, by the way, as a federation, we have no single bodyguard in our payroll. We have never employed a single bodyguard. While he's flying on the air, he gives the card of the federation to the bodyguards for them to swipe as they drive while he's flying on the air. That is what we are dealing with here, and many, many others. So Vusi and all of them, they must go and tell workers what is this and how are they explaining this. That's what they must explain. There are a whole lot of other issues, Dudu, that we don't have time to unpack. But if people can get to the report, if it's true that he circulated it, and go through that report, then they will see what we are talking about. We don't have bodyguards. We have not employed bodyguards. So he must tell the public who employed bodyguards in Saftu, who is paying for that bodyguard, such that they can be given the federation cards to swipe as they drive.
Mr. Vavi was given until close of business yesterday to provide reasons why he should not be suspended. Did you get those reasons? And if not, what happens now? What options are available to you?
Well, we received his submission. The NOBs are looking at his submission. And unfortunately, because of the long weekends, and NOBs are not staying in one province, they are all over. But early next week,